It is 6 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order today, Tuesday, September 23rd at 6 o'clock. Ms. Flatt, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. At this point, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for today.
I'll motion.
Second. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Motion adopted. All right. We have in front of us minutes from the Tuesday, August 26th commission meeting. Are there any questions or clarifications about the minutes as they are presented to us?
I scared them that I didn't.
I didn't. Well, I'm good.
I'll make a motion.
All right. I have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? All right. Motion. The minutes are adopted from the August 26th meeting. All right. So it looks like we have some administrative business. There was item number one, where the discuss a request by applicant Summer Britt to de-annex from the City of Jasper. And I've got a note that applicant requested to withdraw the application to amend the application.
Yes, and as just a point of order, so when we've already advertised,
Okay.
so we have to go through the formal process of having a motion to withdraw without prejudice in order for it to get close to the legal loophole.
Okay.
So that would be your recommendation, would be to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay. And so we're not going to keep the application open. The application's dead. She's going to resubmit the application.
Yes, there's a lot more. There's an intervening parcel that was not evident at first and came up during title.
Okay. So then our motion, would we motion to withdraw? We can't do that.
Recommend withdrawal without
Okay.
prejudice.
Okay. All right. So I'll entertain a motion to recommend withdrawal of the application in order for the applicant to admit. So. All right. Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. All right.
And just to clarify, that's without prejudice.
Without prejudice. Yep. All right. Next up, we have old business. Item number 2 is to discuss a request by applicant SDH Atlanta LLC on behalf of Danny Silvers, and David Blent, the owners of 48.65 acres at 773 Fairview Road, Parcel ID 065065 to annex into the city. We have a note here that this was continued from our August 26th planning meeting. And the applicants requested additional continuance to the October 28th Planning Commission meeting so that it can be prepared for the November 3rd, 2025 City Council meeting.
Yes, and that is for item 2 and 3.
2 and 3, yes.
So the annexation and the rezoning.
Gotcha. Annexation and item 3 is rezoning. At this point, do a motion to recommend continuance to the October 28, 2025 Planning Commission for item number 2 and item number 3.
I'll make a motion.
The second. All in favor? Aye. All right. All right. And then moving on to some new business. We have item number 4 is a request by applicant Zoltan Tortelli on behalf of 71 Confederate Avenue LLC. It's currently zoned C2 General Commercial and located at 71 Confederate Avenue, parcel ID 030D0.6102. For a special permit to allow for a manufacturing establishment involving the mechanical or chemical conversion of raw materials into semi-finished or finished products for custom cabinet manufacture. All right. This time, if applicant or anyone on their behalf would like to kind of give us a lowdown as to what's going on, we certainly entertain that.
Good evening.
I don't know if you would state your name.
My name is Zoltan Tortelli. I'm the business owner. I'd like to occupy the building. And we are a custom cabinet shop. Personal life moving closer up to Ground for Forsyth County and find this perfect location for my shop to be close to the home, and we're planning to grow, and we're planning to find local labor to hire, and I think we will be a perfect fit for this small town.
Yeah, I agree. So I noted in the kind of the minutes that you're planning on installing the desk collector, things like that in the space if you occupy it.
Yes, I would love to have the best we can do
Yeah.
as a proper shop, and not just a small, one garage, a 2-car garage, shop setup. I would like to have my outdoor dust collection set up for the spray wound to be exhausted outside as best we can do with the service sensor.
All right. Good. Any questions from the commission? Right at this point. And sorry, Tortelli? Tortelli, okay. Thank you, Mr. Tortelli. We may have some questions for you, but we'll let
Sure.
Thank you. The city give it a rundown.
All right, so good evening, members of the commission. So the next item for you this evening is a request by Zoltan Tortelli on behalf of 71 Confederate Avenue LLC, the owner of the property located at 71 Confederate Avenue. And Mr. Tortelli is here requesting a special use permit to allow for custom cabinet manufacturing on the property. So the property is located within the Mountain City Business Park, which, as you may be familiar, is located south and east of the Walmart. The property is approximately 1 acre in size, and the existing building on the property is approximately 6,000 square feet. The property is served by city water and sewer, has been consistently since 2019, and it is accessed and has about 185 feet of frontage along Confederate Ave. So the Mountain City Business Park does accommodate numerous other similar or more intense manufacturing, automotive, warehousing, and business operations. Some examples of these are the Brand Max Dental Supply Store, the north of the subject property, the Blaylock Customs Auto Restoration Facility to the east of the property, Power Solutions Unlimited, which is an electrical subcontractor to the south, and then Aquatic Environmental Services to the west across Confederate Avenue, which is C1.
Please.
So Mr. Tortelli submitted this special use permit request on behalf of his business, Tortelli Custom Woodworks, which manufactures custom cabinetry. His business currently operates out of Forsyth County, but he's looking to relocate to Jasper to be closer to home, being more central to his client base. He will be relocating 3 employees from Forsyth County to this location, and as he stated, he intends to hire additional employees here in Jasper. So in the C2 district, manufacturing finished or semi-finished products from raw materials, in this case making cabinets from wood, does require a special use permit. This is just because it could reduce, dust, potentially odor from the chemical finishing, or some things that could exceed sort of the ambient conditions that the area of. So that's why we require a special use permit. At this facility, Mr. Tortelli will be performing mill work for the cabinet making, as well as staining and chemical finishing. However, Mr. Tortelli is very well aware that we have the requirement that chemical finishing has to occur in a city-approved paint booth with the proper ventilation that will be approved and inspected by our state fire marshal. So when we evaluate a special use permit request, we do look to the comprehensive plan because this is a zoning entitlement to ensure that it is consistent. And in this case, the Pickens County Joint Comprehensive Plan designates the property as part of the Jasper Arterial Commercial Corridor. And this land use designation promotes free and efficient flow of traffic and materials. And staff believes that the applicant's proposal is consistent with this comprehensive plan designation, because this is a very limited traffic commercial use that is adequately separated and buffered from a more sensitive sort of residential development. So based on the limited scale of Mr. Tortelli's proposal, the site context, and the proposal's consistency with our comprehensive plan, staff is recommending approval of this request subject to conditions. The first condition, as I've acknowledged, is that no staining or chemical finishing shall occur without a City of Jasper approved. The second condition is that any outdoor storage shall be screened by an opaque fence not less than 6 feet in height. The third condition is that the existing employee parking lot shall be restriped and accessible or handicapped parking space and associated signage provided. A City of Jasper business license is required prior to opening the business, which Mr. Tortelli has already applied for. All new signage shall be approved by the City of Jasper prior to installation. And then just the acknowledgement of our ongoing temporary water suspension. However, as I've noted, this property has been consistently served with city water and sewer since at least 2019. So no changes there. And that concludes my presentation, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Considering the conditions that we have in there, there is not currently a fence for the outdoor storage. I didn't really see anything in the one picture of the.
Yes, I do not believe there's currently a fence out there, and I don't know that you're necessarily proposing any outdoor storage, but if you were to do that in the future, we just have that requirement. You know, that it's screened just to kind of protect the aesthetic quality of the site and this development.
Okay. And you are working with the fire marshal currently to.
Yes, I've spoken to them, and I'm well aware of the requirements that we need to comply to. Yeah, so
But, and, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I should have kind of given a background about this committee. We listened to the application and will make a recommendation that would go to the city council. They're the ones that ultimately approve or deny the request that you're making. So just know that, you know, what we say isn't the final word. It never is. It's going to go to the city, and city council, they can choose to listen to us or disregard what we have to say. So just want to get you familiar with the procedure.
Yes.
All right. Any further questions for the forward? Okay. Anyone else care to comment? Questions, concerns? All right. At this time, I'm leaning towards approval with the listed conditions here.
I make a motion to approve the special use permit with the conditions as stated by the staff.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
So we'll pass our recommendation on to the city council, and good luck to you, Mr. Tortelli. Thank you for considering doing business here.
Bye.
All right. All right. So we'll move on to our next item. Here we go. Item number 5. We have a request by applicant Dave Terry of Gateway Commercial LLC, the owner of 2.22 acres zoned in our planned unit development located at 319 Mount Boulevard South, parcel ID 053D0800001. For a variance to limit the requirement to place dumpsters in the rear yard at a minimum of 5 feet from property lines. And this request variance will be used to accommodate development of planned commercial and shopping center on the property. Is Dave Terry, of anyone on behalf of Dave Terry here? Mr. Terry, would you like to give us a quick rundown?
I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Elizabeth, the deal. Take us away here.
Okay, so the next item before you is a request by applicant and property owner, Mr. Dave Terry, for his property located at 319 Mountain Boulevard South. This is within the Gateway Master Plan. Mr. Terry is here requesting a variance to eliminate the requirement to place dumpster enclosures within the rear yard in a minimum of 5 feet from property lines. And the requested variance will accommodate the development of a planned commercial shopping center on Mr. Terry's property. So a quick overview of the site. The property is approximately 2.25 acres in size and located within the Gateway Plan Unit Development, which, as you may be familiar, is about a quarter mile north of the northwest corner of the intersection of Highway 515 and Highway 108. As you can see here on the map, a portion of this planned commercial project on the adjoining property to the south has already been constructed by a separate developer. This property is will be served by city water and sewer. And while I'm on the aerial map, I do want to note that the property has 3 street frontages or front yards. The eastern frontage on Highway 515 South, the northern property line abuts Mountain Boulevard South, and because of how Mountain Boulevard South then turns, the western property line also abuts Mountain Boulevard South. So with the site context, the surrounding uses include the Lodge at Jasper Assisted Living Facility to the north, the North Georgia grading facility to the east across Highway 515, and the existing two-story commercial office building to the south of the Greater Gateway Commercial Project, and then independent living cottages for the assisted living facility to the west across Mountain Boulevard South. And those cottages that are directly adjoin the property or across Mountain Boulevard South, those are all as one property, that they're not individual properties.
Sure.
So Mr. Terry is here this evening requesting a variance to eliminate the requirement to provide dumpster enclosures within the rear yard and no closer than 5 feet to property lines. So I've included here a conceptual rendering of his proposed development that generally depicts the proposed dumpster enclosures and where they'll be located. As you can see, there are going to be 2 enclosures. One will be sort of at the midpoint along the north property line, and then the other will be at the northwest corner of the property. And so when we talk about the general intent of the rear yard requirement, it's essentially to ensure that the dumpsters are placed in a location that's generally inconspicuous and that most importantly protects site visibility. So when interpreting our ordinance standards, Mr. Terry's property is a bit unique in that it has 3 front yards abutting right of way on its east, north, and west property lines. And then at his south property line, it abuts a shared access drive with the building, the commercial building that's already there to the south. So in practice, that it could be construed as like a side yard, or it could be construed as a rear yard, but because of how it functions and how it provides access to the other property, that's really not an ideal location for the dumpsters because we need to protect site visibility, for vehicles that are using that shared access drive. So accordingly, Mr. Terry is requesting the relief from our ordinance standards to place the dumpsters in the proposed locations where they can be better shielded by landscaping, but then will also not block any site visibility for people maneuvering in or around the site. So this is the conceptual site plan for the proposed development showing the location of the proposed dumpsters. This snippet sort of better portrays how Mr. Terry's property interacts with the property to the south that is already developed. You can see how you've got the interparcel access where it's tied in, and there's sort of limited locations where you could place the dumpsters that are not going to interfere with site visibility. So just to kind of give you a bit more context of how our zoning ordinance interprets or contemplates yards, the image there on the left is an aerial image of Bodyplex Fitness, if you're familiar with that location on Noah Drive. So in this scenario where there's only one frontage, you can clearly see where it makes sense to put the dumpster and where it was placed because we've got clear and definite front, side, and rear yards. Our ordinance, because of how our regulations are crafted, it essentially forces each lot to have one front, 2 sides and 1 rear, even, in Mr. Terry's case where the geometry is just a little bit awkward because you technically have the 3 frontages. So unfortunately, because of Mr. Terry's unique frontage condition, he's got more front yards than a typical closed property, which makes it exceptionally difficult for him to locate the dumpsters in accordance with our ordinance standards. So as you're familiar, our ordinance outlines criteria for evaluating a variance request. The first criteria is that exceptional conditions pertain to the particular property because of its size, shape, or topography. Staff believes that this is met as the property has a unique frontage condition that prevents it from achieving the rear yard ordinance standard. The second criteria is that application of the ordinance to the property would create an unnecessary hardship. Here again, staff believes this is met since the property has 3 frontages plus the shared access. There are very limited locations where the dumpsters could be placed that will not interfere with site visibility. The third criteria is that the exceptional conditions are peculiar to the property. Staff feels this is met as most commercial properties within the city do not have 3 front yards per our ordinance definitions. The fourth criteria is that the exceptional conditions were not the result of the property owner. Staff believes that this is met as the property's unique frontage condition that was not created by the property owner. And then the fifth criteria is that relief, if granted, will not cause substantial detriment to the public good, nor impair the purpose of or intent of the zoning ordinance. Staff believes that this is met as the proposed enclosures are designed to be architecturally integrated with the buildings, partially screened by the landscaping to help mitigate any sort of visual or aesthetic impact. In addition, because you've got what will be a roundabout there, and there's not an actual intersection at the northwest corner of the site or of the subject property, site visibility will not be impacted at this location. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the request subject to conditions. The first is that the dumpster enclosure shall be architecturally integrated with different size buildings. This is something that actually kind of goes above and beyond our ordinance standards. The second condition is that the dumpster area shall contain a cover or provide an oil water separator to control pollutant runoff from the dumpsters. And then the third condition is just our standard acknowledgement of the temporary suspension, although the city has already committed to serve this property with city water and sewer. So that concludes my presentation. We've got Mr. Terry and his engineer here to help answer any questions as well.
So, in our note here, it says that it's a request to locate the dumpsters where they are, and also a variance from the minimum of 5 feet from property lines. It looks like it's more than 5 feet off the property line.
So on the site plan, it wasn't mentioned, and so we just did that sort of in an abundance of caution. If you look at this excerpt of the site plan here, the dumpster enclosure, which is generally how we view it, is almost right on top of that property line there on the west. The other one, the corner of it, just kind of clips their property line, which is outlined in teal there. So we just sort of did that kind of in an abundance of caution since we didn't have it mentioned.
Mr. Chair, do you know if it is going to be 5 foot from the property line, or where you land on that?
Yeah, it will be, whatever is required within the ordinances. We just haven't been able to
Not that.
pinpoint exactly.
Yeah.
I know that this is mostly artistic rendering, but I think it's the first page of it. For that back one that's going to be on, what is that, Mountain
Boulevard.
Mountain Boulevard, is that a wall there that is in addition to the enclosure, or is there a proposed wall along that line in the back?
That will be a brick, a 3-sided brick enclosure with a facade at the front.
Okay, just for the dumpster.
Right.
It looked like it extended along the road, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be an additional blocking for view from the road there. And I'm assuming that we are proposing to have that foliage as kind of as an aesthetic area.
Definitely.
Okay.
And it might be a good time just to, preface by, I really want to thank the Planning Commission's time and service and for the opportunity tonight. I think Elizabeth summarized it really well. Just some additional site context, the vision is really to create Jasper's first community retail center. We think we have an amazing opportunity to integrate residential and commercial, and, just dumpsters and managing trash in a project like this is always challenging. We've tried to be mindful of the most strategic place to put them without, we have residential to the back. We have, as Elizabeth mentioned, adjoining neighboring property lines with 3 different, people. So we feel like hugging the dumpsters next to the rotundas is the best, place to put them, and they'd be out of the way at the most. And again, it's usually with dumpsters, they're placed in the rear of commercial buildings because they're the least obtrusive. In this case, we're really trying to create a welcoming, inclusive, integrated place for people to socialize and truly create a community gathering place. So you could tell, hopefully, by the rendering, this isn't a traditional strip mall. We want to be intentional creating that common area, that green space in the center. So it allows people to have like a town square type vibe. It'll give people a chance to, we'll have pop-up events and music and to gather and to socialize and be flanking, restaurants and dining establishments. So we had to consider the location of that, common area as well when we were thinking through the dumpsters.
So, is there a requirement to have 2? Whether the thing else?
So I don't think like a cubic yard requirement prescribed. I mean, I think it's sort of driven by the end users that the
That's
but typically when you see them, it's normally a double enclosure for a development this size.
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly right. It's just based on, at this point, we have to be we're pre-leasing, but it's ground up development, so it's speculative what the final tenant mix would look like, but we're trying to err on, if we have more demand for restaurants versus office or retail space, making sure they have the right, trash capacity.
It just seems like really hard to get to the one that's full for it.
Yeah, we've definitely, we're mindful of that as well. Yeah.
Drag.
Yeah, it was, we were going to have that challenge pretty much anywhere. So we have been thinking about that, which is really why we wanted to keep the one towards the back as
I'm
well.
assuming, is there access on the back of that building to the businesses?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, so then we'll probably, my guess is that one will get hard and the one up front will not get exact worse though.
Okay. Tony?
Mr. Terry, you're mentioning restaurant use. Is the plan to have a grease dumpster in this enclosure, or are you having a grease pit for the restaurant?
No, the grease traps would be not located where the dumpsters are. They'd be underground grease traps that work as in close proximity to the restaurants as we can. Yeah.
They have to be located accessible at all times, so they can't be inside the building. So the grease traps outside.
Good. So, any further questions for this video? Any question, comments, concerns from anyone else in the audience?
Wow.
At this time, I would I'm leaning towards approving with the conditions as stated. Unless there's any other further comments from the committee. I'll make the motion. Brett?
I will second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, so that it is we recommend approval with the conditions as stated.
Correct.
Any new business? Hearing none, I then entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you, everybody.
We adjourn at 6:27.
Adjourn at 6:27.